All right, welcome back to Double Fries No Slaw. It is Wednesday night. Richie, we only have to do one more of these after this one. But next week actually is one of my more favorite ones that we do. We'll get Allie on, so that'll be fun. Well, I don't know how much fun it'll be for us. But anyway, Double Fries No Slaw, presented by Guthrie, powered by BetUS. We'll give Roback some love here in a minute as well. But Richie, how's your week been so far?
Good, busy, man. Got our annual work audit. It's a multi-day audit going on. It started today, it ends tomorrow, and then I get to play in our annual golf charity tournament for work at the Ritz-Carlton on Friday. So, a stressful 2 days, but a nice reward at the end there. How about you?
It's been pretty good. I feel like I've been really since like last week. I felt like I was getting sick all week, and then it's just never really hit me. So I've just kind of been on the verge of getting sick all week, which has not been necessarily fun, but have powered through. And we're actually leaving on early. You're going to be golfing, but we're leaving early Friday morning to go to North Georgia. Actually up there, we're kind of close to where the Morlocks are from, to be in a cabin for the week of Thanksgiving. So we'll be up there from Friday to whatever. I think we leave on Thanksgiving Day to come home, but kind of a fun getaway. Kids are out of school, hang out. So
Papa Morlock gonna stop by?
Probably. No, I doubt it, just because it's Thanksgiving week and busy. But they did, every time I'm up there, like, oh, go try this restaurant, go here, go there, go do this. So they are
Great
pretty
family.
helpful with that.
Yeah.
They're awesome, and they've been to some of the tailgates. I know I actually was speaking with somebody kind of close to them this week, and I know that Kyle had his struggles, but he's actually kind of rebounded and played fairly well down the stretch here, as well as anybody with the struggles that Florida State has had. So, but they are great people, and it kind of kills you to see him struggle specifically because you're like, man, their family is so nice, they're such good people. But again, he's kind of been in and mixed it up a little bit more, and he's made some catches and not had any kind of glaring mistakes in the last few weeks to where people are calling for people's jobs and stuff like that. So anyway, we're not really gonna talk about Charleston Southern that much, but a little bit we are. We're gonna do this tonight. So I've seen some of this, and okay, it's not. We can go ahead and bring him in, Harlan, real quick. We've got Cade, who runs the SSN Charleston Southern account here on Twitter. Well, over on Twitter. I guess this is not Twitter. But I've seen some of the banter. I think some of the stuff for the Charleston Southern account has been pretty good this week. And so, Cade, when we put out just having to do this preview at 1-9 Florida State up against a 1-10 Charleston Southern, Cade was more than willing to come on and hang out with us. So, Cade, how you doing, man? Oh, I can't hear you. You might be on mute. Yep, you are.
You hear me?
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I was saying I'm good. Sorry.
No, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking some time. So we used to, I will tell you, this should be an honor for you because we used to, the first 2 or 3 years we did the podcast, we brought guests on every single week for the game preview on Wednesday. We used to do them on Thursday nights, but we used to bring a guest on every single week. And last year we stopped doing that. Maybe even the year before, I don't know, but we stopped doing that. It was just hard to, it was hard with people's schedules. We'd been doing it for long enough that we felt like, we don't have to have a guest on. So this is the first time in 2 years that we've had a guest on, just to let you know.
Oh man, I'm honored.
You should feel honored. We waited until Charleston Southern. We've played Clemson. We've played Florida, Alabama, or not Alabama, but Georgia, all these different teams. This is what we're getting you on this week. So
TJ, I think we stopped after you pissed off that Wake Forest guest we had.
We had some people on after, but yeah, that was kind of when I was like, all right, well, maybe we don't get guests on anymore. So, but we do appreciate you for hanging out. Okay, Florida State, I'll let Richie, I'll shut up and let Richie talk here a little bit too. But Florida State fans are obviously melting down because they had college football playoff aspirations and now they're 1-9. And so I don't know if the meltdown is quite the same, but is there a meltdown with Charleston Southern fan? Obviously, it's a different size fan base. I understand the differences in the two programs, but is there a meltdown right now with Charleston Southern fans or not really?
I wouldn't say there's quite a meltdown. This is year 2 of a new coaching staff. The year before they came on, CSU was actually 2-8, and then they improved in year 1 and went 4-7. So I think there were a lot of kind of.
Oh.
There's a meltdown with Florida State going on right now,
Yeah.
TJ, and that I think we're to the point now where we are just ready for this season to be over with, right? At Charleston Southern, I think we'll get some predictions at the end of the show, but there's some optimism with Florida State fans that we should win this game, but confidence level, I mean, it's still somewhat high, but it's not a 10, which it should be a 10 at all times. Is it 6 maybe? We got Cade back. Go ahead, Cade.
Yeah. So you're saying not
Yeah,
quite a
hear me?
meltdown, second year of a new program?
Yeah. Oh, so I think there was some hope to see them take a step forward, and from like the defensive standpoint, CSU did take that step forward from year one to year two, but the offense has really suffered from a lack of solid quarterback play, and they made some portal additions this year for the receivers. We brought in a couple of good D2 guys, got a guy from Coastal Carolina. Solid running backs, offensive line improved, but we do not have a good decision-making quarterback. And so that has hurt us more than anything. We averaged only 16 points a game last year, so it was like, it can only go up from here, right? And then it's gone down. We're only averaging 15 points a game this year. And a lot of that, I think, falls directly on the quarterback and a lot of that play calling. How you've made, for our level, improvements at every position group offensively, but an offense is only as good as its quarterback who can lead it.
Sure. Well, if you're in need of anybody to cheer you up, Florida State is averaging less than 16 points a game this year. They have not scored more than 16 on U.S. soil, and so hopefully do that this weekend. But you're about to see an offense that has some struggles. Now, I do think that the talent gap is probably playing to Florida State's advantage here. But as far as I'll ask this and I'll let Richie ask a couple. As far as camaraderie, Florida State fans have watched this team and understand that this team quit several weeks ago and they're still showing up. Maybe they'll come out with good effort, to start the game. But I will tell you, the worry I think for Florida State fans is if things don't go well to start, we've seen this team quit several weeks this year. And they will quit. They will quit against an FCS team. There's no pride on this team at all. And we'll just call it spade a spade. So how would you say the team camaraderie is for Charleston Southern? I mean, it can never be amazing when you're 1-10, right? But what's your take on that? Are they still playing hard? Is there still effort?
I definitely say there's still the effort. I think showing up every week. They're showing up competing every week. We've had 5 losses this year by 5 points or less. So it's that competing until the final whistle and everything. And we just had an overtime loss up against Eastern Illinois. It's one of our conference opponents last weekend to close out conference play. We lost that 16-13, and I think the spirit is as good as it can be, like you said, for being 1-10. But from what Coach says in weekly media updates and stuff, the team is still showing up Monday afternoon, ready to roll. They haven't necessarily quit on the team, and it's just trying to find a way to string it together to just have some success. So like I said, the competitiveness has been there, having lost 5 games now by a total of 5 points or less. And we've had a couple that got away from us, but really just a few plays away from being a 6 or 7 win team right now, as opposed to a 1-10 one.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, what the season, how it's gone for Charleston Southern in a little bit. But first of all, I lived in Charleston for 2 years on the corner of King and Calhoun. Are you familiar with that area?
Oh, yeah. I've been here since 2005.
Okay, yeah. So for my birthday a few years ago, my wife took me to Hall's Chop House, the best steakhouse experience I've ever had. Sorry, TJ, it burns out. I will say that.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit of food here too. I'm a little disappointed that they closed down the Hominy Grill, but it is what it is. But to your point, I'm just looking at your schedule. 22-21 loss to the Citadel. Tennessee State won 13-9. Tennessee Tech won 28-23, and then you mentioned the Eastern Illinois 16-13 in overtime. So despite being 1-10, I feel like Charleston Southern is a lot closer to having 4 or 5 wins than Florida State is, because I quite frankly, outside of that opener in Dublin, we have not been competitive. Is that the feeling of the fan base that we're just a few plays away? Because I can assure you that is not the feeling of the Florida State fan base with our team.
I mean, that's how it feels to me as someone who has been kind of involved since 2012 when I, first was a student there and following this team now for the last 12 years. I've been through a lot of highs and a lot of lows as a CSU fan, and these last few years, it's definitely been a lot more lows. But coming into this season, my expectations were, that we weren't going to run the table by any means. But when you looked on paper, I guess who we picked up for our level, it looked like it was going to be a competitive season. I had us at that six to potentially 8 win mark. Week 2 we went up to Furman and we won that one 24-20, and it like seemed things were really hopeful. And then week 3 our quarterback went out with I think it was just an ankle injury, but that put him out for like 4 or 5 weeks, and so we had to bring in a sophomore transfer from the D2 level who hadn't taken a snap at the FCS level, and so it feels like on paper like we were just a few plays away from being that, because I look at see who we have and I'm like, we have the talent, it's just piecing it all together. And I don't know coming in next year whether if maybe we have a few different faces on the staff. Like I said, our problems have been it's been play calling, and it's just been poor quarterback play. And so I got to look at that position. It's like, well, what can you do to improve that? Who can you bring in to help coach these guys? Because like when our starting quarterback went out, we got 4 other quarterbacks, and none of them looked like they were ready to kind of facilitate the offense. So to me, that shows that's a development issue, that you've got 5 guys and not one that could step up to help facilitate and manage that offense with who we have at running back and who we have at receivers and the improvements they made on the offensive line.
Yeah. So speaking about that offensive line, and you talked about, things on paper that aren't what they seem. I think Florida State fans everywhere will tell you we expected, honestly, to have a top 5 defensive line in the country coming into the season. And the investments that our collectives made in those players, we are not getting a return on those investments, to say it lightly. But every team that has wanted to run the ball on Florida State has found success doing so. How good is Charleston Southern's running game? And I think, when you're talking about FCS versus FBS, it would be wise of Charleston Southern, in my opinion, to try and shorten the game, run the ball. And if they find success, I mean, there could be some sweaty palms in Doak Campbell Stadium come Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. It's been up and down, I think, with the running game. We've had some really good games, and you had some that weren't so great. I'd say that the 2 running backs we utilize are Octavius Eisen and Tyson Greenwood, and you'll see them all afternoon on Saturday. They've been really consistent running, and I don't think it's for their lack of trying when you have those off games. I think when defense kind of figures out how to get through the offensive line, it limits us, but they've been hampered in the run game a lot too by the lack of any sort of discernible passing game. And I don't say that to be mean necessarily, but just watching this year, I think we're only averaging about 130 passing yards a game, if that. So you can't get that passing game going. It's going to be really hard to get the run game going because you got to have balance. And if all you're trying to do is run the ball 30, 40 times, and you have no passing game to help balance that and create opportunities for the run game, I think that's where our biggest problem is at. So, like I said, there's been some highs with the run game, and then there's been a lot of lows too. And I don't think that so much is against our running backs. I think it's just the lack of just consistent play calling.
What about on the defensive side of the ball? Florida State's offense is just you mentioned your offense being not great. Florida State's offense, at least against the FBS level, has just been putrid, right? Like not able to do anything. I don't know how much of it you've caught or how many games you've scouted or watched or whatever, but like the offense is just terrible. 3 points against Notre Dame. Who is it? I get it. Top 10 team. Just not able to do anything against Miami when we went down there. Really not able to do anything against North Carolina when we played them in Doak Campbell Stadium. And I understand the difference in level of play, but Florida State's offense has looked so bad at times this year that I don't know that they would have scored on air. And so, I would think that Charleston Southern at least puts up a little more resistance than that. Now, I would expect Florida State to still kind of get in the 20s. expect loosely used there. But just thoughts on Charleston Southern's defense. That seems to be the strength of the team, no?
Yeah, that's definitely been the strength. I mean, those guys have. I mean, they've worked their asses off all year. Excuse the language. They have kept us in games. They are the number one reason why the games have been as close as ours, because they have been really good at getting stops, creating opportunities, and they've had some moments where it hasn't been pretty, but overall they've played really consistent out there. They're only giving up 22 points a game. At our level, they've forced 18 turnovers throughout the season. I just did a whole breakdown of kind of how the season went for us this morning, so I got some of these stats kind of fresh in my head. But they forced a lot of turnovers, and they've done a really good job creating opportunities for the offense. The offense just has not managed to capitalize throughout the year on the success that the defense has helped create.
So we'll wrap up here. I appreciate your time, and Richie, if you have anything else, jump in after this one. But do you have like a couple of maybe a two-parter? But number one, like, do you have a You've done pretty well on Twitter this week, and your stuff's been pretty funny. Like, I've seen it a couple of times. You've bantered back and forth with some Florida State fans. Do you have some stuff saved? Do you have some stuff in the chamber for Saturday, like just in case it goes your way? Like, do you have some receipts or some good trolls to get off ready to go? Is my first part of that one.
Not a lot. I mean, I don't really have any expectations for this Saturday for us. Obviously, I would love to go down there and help y'all notch another loss, but I've already fully accepted that the likeliness of that happening, because it's kind of what you alluded to as well. Like, yeah, it's 1-9 Florida State, but 1-9 Florida State, the talent level on paper is still, there is more depth. There's better talent there, and I think for us, with what I've seen offensively, and I think our defense can come out strong, but to ask them to play 4 perfect quarters when they're not getting much from the offense, that's going to make a lot of challenge. So at this moment, I mean, it is only Wednesday. I do not have anything saved and ready to go, but that could change in the next 48 hours because, like I said, I'm having fun with it this week. I mean, it is what it is at this point in the season. I'm looking to open up. I think we open at Coastal in 2025, so I'm just looking ahead to 2025 at this point.
Well, we open up with Alabama, so send some prayers our way. Yeah, kind of the same thing here, right? Like, but at the same time, I will tell you, and I'll wrap up with this, and I'll pass to Richie, and we'll wrap up. But yeah, I'm just telling you, if Florida State, like, they will quit if Charleston Southern can string 2 good quarters together and be down 3 or something at the half, or even have a lead or something. I mean, last year, shoot, with the loaded roster we had last year, we were down 13-0 against, was it North Alabama, Richie?
Yeah.
And so I'm not predicting this. I'm not trying to paint a rosy picture of like, oh, here's your path to a victory, because it's going to have some fluky stuff's going to have to happen. But yeah, if Florida State doesn't play well early,
I can't hear you.
Did we cut out? I'll keep rolling. Harlan, he might need to jump out, jump back in. But yeah, Richie, my thought is that if we don't play well, I fully expect this team to quit and lose to Charleston Southern. Now, I'm not saying that I think that happens. Like, that's not my prediction. But the longer you let this team stick around, I mean, Florida State is notorious for letting teams stick around that should not stick around. And so, yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be my prediction, but if they can kind of stick around and Florida State pulls a Florida State, like, it's definitely doable. Richie, what you got to close it out?
Yeah, all it takes is we got you, kid. Yeah, man, all it takes is one fumble on the opening drive, giving them a short field, right? And then they go and score points. And then, the offense struggles because neither Brock nor Luke have shown the ability to do to command the offense the way you would expect them to, especially Brock at this point in his career. And Cade, we'll let you go here in a second. But yeah, just want to give a shout out to the city of Charleston. I consider that my second home. Moving there at 22 years old, right after graduating college, living a few blocks from the College of Charleston, was pretty awesome. And, I'd love that city. And I wish Charleston Southern nothing but the best except for Saturday. But granted, honestly, if y'all beat us, it would not be the end of the world for me.
Do you have a Kate? Do you have a prediction in this one? Can you hear me, Cade? We may have lost him. Harlan,
Kate predicts Charleston Southern 27, Florida State 24. Put it on the books.
Yeah, he's got him winning. I'll shoot him a DM. We appreciate Cade. Listen, SSN Charleston SO is his Twitter account. Go check that out. He's been funny this week. You guys can get some laughs off as they commiserate with us. So, all right, let me give a little love to BetUS. And then, listen, if anybody wants to call in, there's a link in the description. I know you guys have had some questions. We'll certainly read any super chats, but if you have questions or anything, hit those down below, and we're happy to get you in if you would like to call in. But, yeah, BetUS, appreciate them for their support all year. Listen, there's no line posted, but it's looking like 33.5 once it does get posted. So if you want to go bet on Charleston Southern or bet on the Noles, once that line comes out on Saturday, then you can certainly feel free to go do that at BetUS. YouTube 150 is the code. You get 150% on your first deposit, 125% on your next two, up to $2,000. Appreciate BetUS for their support. Let's go, Cade, one more time, get a prediction from him, and get out of here.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened on my side. You want a prediction?
Yeah. Call your shot, man. Nobody's going to clip this. Nobody cares that much on our side.
Gotcha. I mean, I'm going to say probably like 30-10 Florida State. I mean.
You think we can score 30?
Oof, he's bold.
Yeah, I mean, I would hate to see that, but at the same time, just kind of understand what I've been watching for the last 11 weeks when it comes to just fatigue and as the game goes on. If we can't generate that movement from the offense, then the defense is going to start wearing down if they have to spend 35, 40 minutes on the field.
Yeah. We appreciate you, man. We'll definitely plug your Twitter account and continue to interact with Florida State fans because we have a sensitive bunch on Twitter, and you can have a lot of fun with us.
Yeah, give him hell, bro.
I appreciate it. Good luck to y'all closing out y'all season, and hopefully it's better fortunes in 2025. I do watch a lot of Florida State. Not to get attacked. I am also a big Clemson fan ever since I was 7, 8 years old, but I really enjoy watching the Seminoles too. So I always look forward to that matchup every year.
Awesome. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, bye.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, his Twitter game is pretty good, so go check that out. All right, we gave BetUS a little love, Richie. All right, the only question I have on this game, I don't feel like we have to do a deep breakdown of Charleston Southern, but the only question I have, Richie, there's no debate about what is worse. Well, I don't know. I mean, if you want to take the other side, Jacksonville State was like an actual good FCS program that like was in the FBS the next year. That loss is still inexcusable, but you also had a hurt quarterback. Like Jordan he started Milton, and so whatever. To me, this loss, record considered, as like a 30+ point favorite on top of a 1-9 season, this would be infinitely worse to me than Jacksonville State. I don't know if you have a take on that. I know that this year is already lost, and so like in the grand scheme, but like loss for loss, this is one of the worst FCS teams that exists. And if Florida State loses this one, it might, like, I don't think Mike's getting fired. It might change the mood around. Like, to me, this would be like the worst loss in program history. I don't necessarily think it would be close. What are your thoughts there?
So I would actually put the loss to Duke above Jacksonville State.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm just saying this one for that one.
Yep, undefeated. But yeah, the Jacksonville State, again, inexcusable. I don't care who was quarterback, who was healthy, who wasn't. Losing at home to Jacksonville State and losing the way you lost that game where you had no idea what they were doing. That was entirely inexcusable. But a loss to Charleston Southern, I think this season already is a fireable offense for Mike Norvell. I've been clear on that, and I'm not going to back down from that take. But if there was a booster or a collection of boosters who would raise the $60+ million to buy him out, if Florida State loses this weekend, then I am perfectly fine saying goodbye to Mike Norvell. Thank you so much for 2013. Thank you for, handling the rivals for the past few years, but it's just unexcusable. And what's so frustrating to me as a diehard Florida State fan since 1995 is that it's a you can see a world where we lose to Charleston Southern. Like that is a possibility, even as a 33-point favorite. I have no confidence. Like I'm going to bet on the Buccaneers to cover this weekend, and I'm not talking about on Sunday. I'm talking about Charleston Southern. I think that Florida State probably wins this game. We'll get into predictions in a little bit, but the fact that I'm sitting here thinking that we might struggle with a 1-10 FCS team, that's a problem. That tells you all you need to know about where your program is at, and it is not okay.
Yeah. No, I fully expect them to struggle. I do think they'll win. We'll talk about predictions in a minute, but I don't expect this to be like easy by any means. So I just wonder how much the guys even care, how much effort they really
Would
put
you
in.
care?
No, not at all. I mean, I don't at this point.
I don't either.
We brought on, Kay was really nice. It's like we brought on a guy that was a good Twitter troll, like to talk about the game. Not a fan of the team, and he covered. I get it, but like, yeah, no, I don't care. We're just doing this because we said we would show up every week. So yeah, all right, give Roback some love. We'll do a pick six and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, RHOBACK.com, Roback.com. Use code DFNS20 for 20% off your first order. Polos, joggers, hoodies, shorts, they have everything. It's the best performance gear you could imagine. I'm playing golf, like I mentioned earlier, at the Ritz on Friday, no flex, and I will be wearing my Roback Florida State polo. And the weather in Florida is amazing. I'm going to wear that black FSU hoodie that is on the screen right there when I go play as well. Honestly, I've been a customer of Robacks for well before they decided to come and sponsor us. The fact that they now do sponsor us or partner with us, it just makes me that much more excited about it. They make some of the best gear. Just because your team sucks on Saturdays does not mean that your game day fit has to suck as well. If you're not feeling the Florida State love, again, they have tons of awesome polos and hoodies and different things that you can buy. They have the Mulligan polo, which is my favorite. My best friend just bought it for his father-in-law for Christmas using our code DFNS20. Tons of great gear. Go check him out. Give him a chance. Buy one thing, and you're going to love it, and you'll buy more. So Roback.com, code DFNS20 for 20% off your first purchase.
All right, let's pick these games. Indiana's a 13.5-point dog at Ohio State. I like the Buckeyes here to cover. Win going away.
Hoosiers.
Ole Miss, 10.5-point favorite at UF.
I'm going to go UF here. I think they might have found something last week. That environment is going to be absolutely electric. As much as we hate Florida, that the Swamp is a very tough place to play. And coming off of last week, getting this game, knowing Lane Kiffin's reputation and how much he's disliked by anybody who is not a fan of a team he's coaching, I think Florida covers. I don't think they win. I think they cover.
I'm going to go the other way. I think LSU kind of dominated UF in the box score. They just weren't opportune. I think LSU will be opportune this week. I also think that what you mentioned about UF folks hating Lane also is the same for him. And so I think he will run it up if he can. I also think that LSU coming off a 40-point blowout loss at home to Bama, like just crushed their spirit, whereas Ole Miss might be one of the hotter teams in the country right now. So yeah, I think Ole Miss, sorry, wrong team. I think Ole Miss wins kind of going away. Also noon kickoff. Somewhat, I know the Swamp is still the Swamp, but noon kickoff versus night, I think that's a big deal too. SMU is a 9.5-point favorite at UVA. SMU with one win, I believe, with one win gets in because they hold enough tiebreakers to keep that one win in any of the next 2 weeks. SMU gets into the ACC championship. 9.5 at UVA. UVA played Notre Dame well last week, but I still like SMU to cover here.
Yeah, I agree. I take SMU here. I think if it was 10.5, I'd have a little more pause. But I think SMU, that offense, Rhett Lashley is a phenomenal offensive mind. I'm going to go with the Ponies here.
Who put this on here? UMass plus 42 at UGA. I guess give me the dogs, but I have no reason to pick this.
The ghost of Walt Bell lives on, and UMass comes in and they keep it within 39 points. Give me the UMass. I forget what their mascot is.
The Minutemen, I believe.
Minutemen, yeah. That's right.
ASU is a 3-point favorite at home against BYU. I'll take Kenny on this one. To be honest with you, I actually think BYU wins, but I can't pick against Kenny Dillingham. So give me ASU.
Dilly, I'm taking Arizona State. What he's done at Arizona State is phenomenal, and it's so cool that that's his, where he went to college, and that he's had the turnaround he has. And I'm just rooting for Kenny Dillingham and hope he wins. I do think they win the game. I think 3 points. I'd like it to be 2.5 taking ASU, but I'll still take ASU. I think they get it done at home.
And then finally, Army is a 15-point dog at Notre Dame. I'll take the Irish here. I don't believe in the service academies until they prove it.
One of my best friends, a groomsman at my wedding, played football for Army, and I will not go against them. I am going with Army.
You think they win?
I don't think they win. I hope they win, but I think it'll be a closer game. Army's going to shorten this game. It's not going to be in Notre Dame's. They don't run hyperspeed offense. I think Notre Dame wins, but I think it's a lot closer than 15. I'd take Army at plus 13.5, honestly.
Yeah, I like Notre Dame in this one. Harlan, you got a score for us? Richie, what's your score prediction in this one? Florida State and Charleston Southern.
Florida State 27, Charleston Southern 13.
I'm going to go 21-20. Florida State wins. So I think they do find a way. I think they do find a way to get it done. 21-20, Noles win. Harlan's got 24-17. I don't know that I want us to score more than 20. I like the idea of Dublin being August being our highest scoring game. So, but that is for the first time in a long time, all three of us picking the Noles. Well, maybe we did that for, I don't know, Duke or something. But anyway, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate BetUS. Appreciate Roback. I know it's a Charleston Southern preview. So for the diehards and degenerates that are in here tonight, you guys really are the real MVPs. We will be back at some point Saturday night, Sunday. We'll figure it out. We got some scheduling stuff. Plus, I'm out of town, but we'll figure out when we'll talk with you guys about hopefully their second Florida State win of the year. If not, we will legitimately fire everyone, and that will be right after the game. Otherwise, we will talk to you guys soon. Appreciate you guys as always for your support. BetUS, Guthrie's, and Roback as well. And we will talk to you guys soon. Go Noles.
Go Noles.